Welcome to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Hey, that's me. Hi, and welcome to Positive Talk. Our show features the best positive stories and people from around the globe as we endeavor to answer the universal question of why am I here and what is my purpose? Understanding that can change everything, and knowing your greatness is fundamental to living your best life. So join us right now as together we work to create the adventure of our lifetime. And welcome, everybody. You're going to enjoy the show. I just know it. And because we've got a great guest for you today, and she's sitting right there. And I'm going to try and make sure I do the name correctly. Pamdiana Jones. Am I correct?
That's right. That's me.
Well, Ms. Jones, have you had fun looking for the lost skull, or maybe it was the anyway? She's
Lots of fun.
She's an extensive traveler. She's a comedy writer. She is an adventurer in the first degree, and she's also an author who's written about it all. And we have her for the entire hour, so I'm very excited that she is here. She's got a great sense of humor, and she's got quite a story. So I would love for you to relate to our audience how all of this began, and I guess I could say that it all started with the theft of a truck.
That's correct. First of all, thanks for having me on, Kevin. Nice to be able to talk to you this afternoon. My pen name, my author pen name is Pamdiana Jones, spoof on the Indiana Jones movies. Years ago, let me back up a little bit. Years ago, when I was 22 in the mid 1990s, and I was moving from Los Angeles, California to San Diego, California, and my moving truck was stolen full of everything I owned. I literally had the outfit on my back. And my sister said, well, you can rebuy all the new furniture you had just bought for your young new apartment. And I thought that will make me nauseous. So I immediately grabbed a small backpack, packed some clothes, and off I went traveling. First of all, I moved to Park City, Utah, and I met a young man named Jay. And I said, what are you going to do when the snow melts? And he said, I'm going surfing in South Africa. And my jaw just dropped open. Wow, that sounds amazing. Let me back up one more time. My grandparents were British, but they had lived in South Africa and in Egypt in the 1930s for 10 years. And then my mother went to Kenya and Tanzania in the 1970s. So I grew up hearing their African stories. So I just knew I had to travel someday. But by then I'm 24. I had never been anywhere except for the Southern California rotation of Mexico, Hawaii, Palm Springs, Lake Tahoe, that whole little bit there. So Jay says, when I was amazed, he said, well, the ticket's $1,175. Do you want to go? And I said, yeah, I do. I had $1,200 to my name. So I emptied my bank account, gave him every penny I had except for $25. And he was just in shock. He said, everybody's got a reason, an excuse why they can't go. He goes, are you sure? I go, I'm so sure this is going to be the funnest time ever. And we left 30 days later. So it gave me 30 days to sell my car. So I actually left with $3,300 for what was supposed to be 3 months in South Africa with Jay. And after about 6 weeks, his sister decided to get married. So he left, and I decided to continue on the rest of South Africa on my own now. And then on the way home, I stopped in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I asked the stewardess, can I get off the flight? And she said, yes. So I continued on around the world on my own for 3 years. So it was definitely a spontaneous moment.
How do you have the intestinal fortitude to do that? I don't know anybody else that would say, I think I'm going to South Africa and I'm going to have a good time. And then I'm going to, I don't know where I'm going from there, but I'm going to go somewhere, and the universe and God is just going to direct me as to where I'm going and stuff. And how did you come up with all that?
I wish I could say it was wisdom and fortitude, like you said, and courageousness, but it was blind, dumb youth and naive and optimism and cringeworthy mistakes everywhere I went. I fumbled my way around the world, getting into life-threatening situations from day one, and I'm lucky to be alive, to be honest.
And is it true? And I sound like a prosecuting attorney. Is it true, young lady, that you were chased by a herd of elephants?
Oh, it's all true. And let me start with page one. Jay and I arrive into Johannesburg, and we decide after a 28-hour flight to take a 29-hour train ride into Cape Town. And there's nothing for sale but a third-class ticket. Well, this is 1 year after the apartheid had ended. So if any one of your listeners not familiar with the apartheid, the racial tension there for 100 years was that you're not friends, you're enemies. Blacks and white are enemies. And then the apartheid ended, and now you're insisted to be friends. You are friends. It's starting now. And there was a bit of tension and anger there of how do they navigate that. But we jump on a third-class train rides, and Jay and I are the only white people that are on there, and hundreds of black faces just look at us and go like, what are you doing here? You guys are dum-dums. Well, we start talking with people from LA. We got racial friends from every race. So we didn't think we didn't put it together that we're in another place. We'll just be our friendly selves is what we thought. And about 8 hours into the trip, I go up to the dining cart and I meet these two white South Africans that pulled me over to their table. And they said, we are officers that take the train every day and deliver cars and all this stuff. We were about to come and get you and your friend. You're not allowed to sleep back there because that's when the nighttime or the daytime security guard locks the door and goes to bed, and that's when all hell breaks loose. So he said, I insist we're going to send some of our car delivery workers to take your spot back there, and you're going to sleep in our cabin with us. And I was traveling with a man, so it wasn't a flirtation. So we gave it no more thoughts, and we went, and there was a crack in the window, and it was really freezing on my toes is all I remember about that. And poor me, my toes are cold and there's no blanket, and what's the matter with me, you know? The next morning I learned that our 5'4" worker friends that have taken our spot, a huge 6'5" black man came up to stab my friend, and my friend knew some karate moves and turned the knife upside down and made the huge man stab himself. And he crawled away all bloody down the rest of the train. And my two worker friends had to stand back to back on the train the rest of the night to make sure they were not attacked. So that's page one of my book. And I realized I caused that. And did the fear we must have caused those workers, that was just unnecessary for them. And even the black guy, the bad guy, is he alive or dead? The train didn't stop to let him off to go to the hospital. So I'll never know, but I am the butterfly's wing that gets crushed that causes the chaos theory everywhere I go. So that's how it started. But soon afterwards, I'm getting chased by a herd of elephants, and that's a whole nother story right there.
Well, and you slept on top of a volcano. I bet your toes were warm
Oh,
then.
yeah. Oh, exactly. Oh, that's in Indonesia when I got a little farther down. They said, hey, it's $10. Do you want to go? It leaves at midnight. And I don't think, why does it leave at midnight? Because it's a gnarly, huge, long hike all through the night to be able to see the lava right before the sunrise. So I go, sure, $10 sounds good. And within 10 minutes, I'm a knuckle dragging mouth breather just going, what have I done? I can't see anything. Everybody else has flashlights. I got to hold my guide's hand. We're last. I'm just being dragged up this mountain by a man in flip-flops smoking a cigarette the whole way. So I feel a bit of he could compete with Olympic athletes is what I think. But yeah, the lava at the top was worthwhile, but I'll never do that again. Let me put it that way.
And then, well, we were talking just before the show started, and there was a time when you thought, because you seem like the type of person that says yes and then thinks about it.
Yeah. That's
and,
right.
and so you went up on top to where they were doing bungee jumping, and you looked down and you said, no, maybe I'll reconsider this. I don't think this is a good thing for me to do, until somebody pushed you off.
That's the cover of my book. My book is called When in Rome, ROAM, by me, Pamdiana Jones, like I'm Indiana Jones. And my friend Toad has just shoved me off of the bungee jump platform. Well, I know nothing about how long it takes to strap someone into their boots. So he's on his knees. He goes, you're next. I go, I don't think this is for me. He stood right up. He goes, oh, okay, no problem. We'll just take a quick picture of you, because I was working at a bar in town, and that's the kind of flow of the town, is that the bartenders and waitresses would tell the tourists how fun the town is by doing bungee jumping and horse trekking and jet boat riding. So you got to do all those things for free, and then tell the tourists to go explore the towns, and the bungee jumpers and everybody would bring their tourists into the bar. So it was a nice exchange. So I thought, I'll just take the picture. And he goes, that's fine. And he just shoved me right off. So I'm in more terror than a normal person because I'm like, did you clip me in? Do you remember that we just talked about this? So I don't know what's going on, and I'll never bungee jump again. I hated that guy.
Okay, but well, with a name like Toad, you
I should have known. I'm not sure if some of your watchers are watching us, but here's the cover of my book. So Pamdiana Jones, When in Rome, ROAM. But here's Toad. He's kind of got his arms waving like neener, neener, neener. And my face is just in total fear of just, what have we done here? And I've hurt
oh,
feelings. I literally am going, but why? Why did you do this to me, Toad? Because he's a funny guy.
yeah.
He's still good friends. So he agreed to be on the cover, and we're still good friends now. He gave me a big hug afterwards and said most people don't even climb the ladder. So he knew if you even or have an inkling that you would be up there. So he thought most people just need a nudge.
And so again, the name of the book is
When in Rome, ROAM, like you're roaming around.
yes, and
By
it
Pamdiana
is
Jones, yeah.
it is a great book, and it's a lot of fun because now have you always had a funny streak?
I think so, but my teachers and my parents might not agree. So
Teachers,
I think everything is. I mean, gnarly things happen in everybody's life, but I just get the sarcastic thing of like, well, I guess this is what we're doing now. So I'm trying to teach my kids that, and they kind of have a laid back attitude about that. About like, well, I guess this is how life goes.
so now you've grown up. Well, first of all, before we get there, I've got to ask you again now. When he left, because his sister was getting married, right?
Right. His sister suddenly got married right in the middle of our trip. He was supposed to stay for 3 months as well. So we had bought a car in Cape Town, and we started driving the entire coast. And we drove up past Durban to Sodwana, and Jay calls home, and she said, I want to get married, but in like 2 weeks. So he rushed home for that. So I decided, we have friends here. I'll just stay. And he goes, yeah, but a lot of people travel alone. You know what to do now. And Jay had taught me to travel so dirt cheap that I thank him to this day. I'm of the thought, Southern Cal, let's go to a cafe and get a $5 sandwich. Oh, I need a laundromat, another $5. He said, we're traveling now. Let's wash our clothes with a bar of soap in the sink, and let's buy a bag of white rice and eat it for breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day for 3 months, which is terrifying for me because I'm a foodie and a wino. So to challenge myself to that way, it was just a shocker. And I hate white rice to this day, 30 years later, I'll tell you.
I don't blame
So
you.
yeah, I can't
I,
eat it. I don't want any rice ever near me. And if there's some on it, I just go, I'm not even hungry. So
so
it's,
so
go ahead.
you are a single 22, 23-year-old a pretty woman who
Well, thank
is by herself in South Africa, and they just had apartheid. So there's still a lot of animosity
you. Yeah.
between the races at that time. And you didn't think anything. Well, I guess I'll ask you, did you think anything of it, or did you just say, well, I'm just going to go do it and everything's going to be fine?
I thought nothing of it. I knew nothing about the apartheid. You hear whispers on the radio, but I wasn't much of a news watcher at that age. So it wasn't until I got there that I realized what it meant. I'm hearing from new Black friends and new white friends what that means for their cultures. They do mix together. So I met some Zulu people. I met some, it's called Koza people. And, I met a man traveling from Kenya, and he was a Black man that told me all about the history of what the things that Americans don't really realize about their cultures. But the stabbing on the train, and then let me tell you one story in Jeffreys Bay, which is a very well-known surfers place. Jay was still there, but him and all the friends had gone out surfing, and it was such a big wave day that I decided to stay home and write letters. And there was maybe 5 bungalows in a little circle with a little courtyard in the back. And Jay and I had our red station wagon parked out the front. And as I'm writing the letters, I get a knock on the door, and the door's unlocked, but there's bars on every window. So for some reason, I pulled back the curtain instead of answered the door. I would have just answered the door, but I pulled back the curtain, and there's 2 Black men standing there. And before even one word, they start waving their arms, yelling at me, my sister, she's bleeding. We need your car. We need your car. Open the door. Open the door. And I'm thinking, this is my thought. I'm so naive. I go, oh, what can I do? I'm thinking, oh, your poor sister. I believe them. So out of my mouth comes Spanish. My guardian angel just goes, not today, Pam, not today. So I think of some hilarious phrases that I'm not even thinking of it. They just pour out of my mouth. And I say it in a tone like, I don't understand English and I don't understand what you're saying. Well, these two men turn and they shrug to the bushes, and six other men run away. They know it's a big wave day and there's a surfy girl left behind, and that's going to be the death of me, because these surfers go out for 3-4 hours. So there's no phones, there's no cell phones, there's no email, there's not even a bell to ring. I would have just been destroyed, and that would have been the end of me that day. I'm sure of it. But they ran away. All of them ran away. So 8 men ran away, and I locked the door immediately. I run to the back door, which was wide open for the breeze, and I slammed it shut. I had a cinder block, and I smashed a wine bottle, and I just sat there for 3 hours going, what do I do? But then I realized the phrases I had said, which my friend had taught me. Are your listeners over 18, 17, 18? You have adult listeners?
We do have adult listeners, but we do follow the FCC regulations.
Okay, so let's just say some Spanish phrases that are not very nice had come to mind. You might have to read the book to see what I really said, but in that tone of, I don't speak English, they didn't know what to do, and that saved my life. I guarantee Spanish saved my life that day.
Well, that is just simply amazing. That is hair curling, if I had some.
Most people say, why didn't you fly home? Like, run home for that. And it didn't even occur to me. I thought, oh, no, today's a better day. Like, oh, it's more fun tomorrow. We stayed in Jeffreys Bay for another 2 weeks.
It's great, and it's going to be fine. By the way, we are talking with Pamdiana Jones. Go to pamdianajones.com, find out all about her. You can buy her books. And when we come back, I got to talk to you about your grandpa, because there's a story there that needs to be told, and it is so cool. So you're listening to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald, and we will be right back after this message. At 67 years young, I never thought I'd feel this good again. But thanks to Purium's Ultimate Transformation Lifestyle, to date, I've lost 37 pounds and gained energy, confidence, and a whole new outlook on life. This isn't a diet. Purium is a complete lifestyle change, giving me all the natural, organic, nutrition-packed superfoods that fuel my body, crush my cravings, and help me burn fat naturally without starving myself. No gimmicks, no guesswork, just a simple, proven system that works. Superfood shakes, detox support, and real results. If I can do this at 67, imagine what you can do. It's your time to feel better, look better, and live better with Purium. Let's do it now, and let's do it together. Go to www.positivetalkradio.net and click on the Transform You to get started. That's positivetalkradio.net. Transform You. And welcome back, everybody, to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And Brachelle's out sick today, doggone it. But we've got a great guest here today, and it's Pamdiana Jones. And all we need is you to get a doctorate, and then it'd be Dr. Jones.
Right? You call him Dr. Jones. I used to sign my letters Pamdiana Jones because of all the adventures I was signing. You know, Mom, I climbed a volcano. Mom, I chased by elephants. So, and my family just started calling me Pamdiana Jones. So when I decided to become an author, that was a given pen name for me.
That's perfect. What decided you to write the books that you have written and are working on?
Honestly, I'd been told for 20 years, every time I would share a story about getting chased or, sleeping on the volcano, or I've got another one with, I'm learning to scuba dive with a bloody hand while a shark is following me, and I don't think to get out of the water. So just the weirdest things happen to just me. But every time I share a story like that, someone would inevitably say, you should write a book. And I would giggle it off. Oh, why me? Who's going to read about little old me? And then Eat, Pray, Love came out about maybe 10, 15 years ago and swept around the world. And I love her journey and her positivity and everything, but it wasn't the book I wanted to read. I wanted to read a fast-paced, action-packed, and hers was very much about her divorce and her gentle spiritual learnings. And she rode a bike in one country and ate spaghetti in the other. And I thought, I have sharks and skydiving. I'm going to write my stuff down. There's probably more girls like me that will drop a cuss word now and then or have a beer now and then. There's a lot of us out there still too.
Oh, there are, and I got to tell you that it is a remarkable story that you have, and congratulations on everything that you've done, and I'm sure based upon your writing that you have more works in you. Are you continuing to write?
I am nearly done with the second comedy travel memoir. This first one, I go through South Africa, Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, all through Indonesia, through Sumatra, Java, Bali, Lombok, and then Australia's right there and New Zealand's right there. And I start working along the way. I end up washing airplanes and teaching snorkeling lessons on a yacht in the Whitsunday Islands in Australia, and a lot of bartending and waitressing, and actually a radio gig where I did a lot of commercials for my New Zealand friends. But this once I got home, a lot of people I start calling my new friends. Hey, you're British. I might come visit you. And they're like, yeah, come on. We're going to the Canary Islands. Hey, I'm going to be in LA, but I'm also going to go to Easter Island and Tahiti, Moorea, Western Samoa, Cook Islands. Why don't you join me? And so, hey, why don't we just go to Paris for lunch? So some of these friends want to meet me and take me around their places. So a lot of the friends from book one are going to make an appearance in book two, and I'm nearly done with that second book. I'm going to call it Roaming Oceania. So same, stick with the roaming thing. And I think I have a third book in me too. My husband and my kids travel a bit now, and the weirdest things always happen to us. So I think there's a third book there if I get the time.
Have you ever counted up how many countries you've gone to?
Oh, sure. Gosh, we hadn't been anywhere since before the pandemic. And then just last summer, we went on a 6-country European tour. I hadn't been through Europe much. So I don't know exactly off the top of my head with those new 6 ones, maybe 40 countries. So not a whole lot, enough to be memorable. Many people that have traveled 10 times over.
Now you got chased by elephants. Did you see any snakes while you were out and about?
As a matter of fact, yes, that same day we were jumping through the bushes while the herd of 19 elephants were mad at one, and they kept pushing it away. And then finally they got furious and they just started chasing him. And we had gotten out of the car to go follow them a bit, and they were little tiny dots off in the distance, and our car was a little red dot off in the other way. And we go, well, we better start heading back. And then the ground starts rumbling, and we realize they're chasing us. They're mad at the one, but they're heading towards us. So we just get engulfed in their dust and the trumpeting and the rumbling of their feet and everything. And they happen to veer left right when we happen to jump into our car. So we were saved at the last moment. And 2 seconds later, Jay spots a puff adder snake rolled up and takes a quick picture of it. So luckily it wasn't there while we were jumping through the bushes of Africa.
I tell you, that's why I won't go. If there are snakes there, I ain't going.
Oh, I'm in Southern Cal. There's rattlesnakes around here for sure.
Oh yeah, well, we've got them in Eastern Washington too, but where I live, there ain't nothing. And so that's but it's remarkable the stories that you have. Do you think about it when you are having a quiet contemplating moment? Do you think about all the things that you've done? Are you impressed? Are you scared? Are you amazed that you're still here?
All of that in a different way. We all think our own lives are normal. So I just think my life is normal. But I have twins that are 14 right now. And right before lockdown, we took them to Bali, Indonesia, for just a family vacation. And I looked at my husband. I go, is it weird that I've been here 3 other times, but by myself? Like, what am I doing? What was that? Like, there's no one to share it with. So I look back and I just go, I don't want to travel that way again, but I'm so very grateful that I did, because honestly, you learn so much about yourself. When I was traveling with Jay, we would say, where do we want to go for the day? But when he's gone, I think, hey, I want to go kayaking today. Guess what I do? I'm going to go find a boat place, rent a kayak. Maybe there's 3 other friends that I meet along the way that are also kayaking, and we go have a beer later. So it's when you're in your own energy, you meet your own tribe. I never would have met those other kayak people if I didn't choose to kayak that day, So
That's a great way to look at it.
You're drawing people to you when you're true to yourself. So I like that. And you learn to trust your instincts. I hope my kids aren't listening, but there was a lot of hitchhiking in there. Please don't ever do that. And I'm lucky to be here, like I said. But sometimes if you're going north, you'd have to have a way out. If some weirdo pulls over and goes, hey, get in, and you go, oh, actually, I'm going south. And they go, oh, you're on the wrong side of the road, you dumb. You go, yeah, I'm a dummy. Off you go. Bye. And you don't get in that car, but you have to have a saying, a reason to get away from this person. But you can only trust that moment because you practiced it with, should I have a ham sandwich or a turkey sandwich? Should I get up earlier, go and have a cup of tea with the sunrise, or should I sleep in? So once you start trusting those little things, it'll be right front and center for the big moments. that
Which you
instinct.
which you have to follow when you're alone like that and traveling all over the place and you don't really know where you're going, you have to trust your instincts.
Well, when my moving truck got stolen, my instinct was screaming at me, Pam, do not park everything you own in the middle of the street. Don't do it. Don't do it. And I'm arguing with me. It'll be fine. Oh, you're wrong. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. So that's the moment you learn, oh, that's the universe. That's God. That's your angels, guardian angels speaking to you. And you didn't listen. So that will only happen once in my life. Now I'll listen. If they say have that turkey sandwich and I didn't feel like a turkey sandwich, I'm going to have a turkey sandwich. So the rest of
Did
my day goes
you
well.
ever get the truck back, or did you ever get anything from the truck back?
It was a U-Haul, and they found it the next day in a kind of a crappy area of San Diego with a smashed ignition, and it was empty, and it was a week before Christmas. So they had a really great Christmas, and I did not. But the U-Haul truck was trying to charge me, I don't know, $12,000 for the truck. Luckily, dollar insurance. So I went, nope, that's your problem. Sorry.
And
So it,
and then you left
I
the
got
country.
enough to worry about now besides your truck. Yeah. So luckily, definitely get the insurances, you know.
I have a good friend, Brachelle, who has contemplated going to Bali. What's it like there?
Oh, Bali's otherworldly. I've been there 4 times. I speak some Indonesian. It's changing quite a bit. When I went 3 times in a row 25 years ago, it was a sleepy little, think of Hawaii maybe 75 years ago in Maui, but now it looks like Honolulu. I went to some of my towns and I went, what is this Las Vegas? So pick new towns, go to if you go to Bali, you can't just go for a week, so maybe 10 days or something, but you hit the touristy area for 3-4 days so you get a vibe of it, but then go out and branch out into the real Bali, because those people are the most gentlest souls in the world. I have to say, they're always smiling. They just want you to have the best day of your life, and it shows.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm how long of a flight is it from the United States to
I
Bali?
know exactly, 22 hours. My kids have been to Australia when they were 5, and that was 22 hours, and then Bali for 22 hours. And then one day we flew to grandma's house in Oregon. That was 1.5 hours. And my kids both looked at me and went, that's it? What? Like, that was nothing of a flight. And I thought, no, the 22-hour ones are the weird ones. An hour and a half is a much more normal flight. So they didn't realize that. And I didn't know what to teach them because their first flights had been so long.
Well, and I got to tell you, you've done all these things, but I think the bravest thing that you've ever done is fly with 2 5-year-olds for 22 hours.
Oh boy, they're good travelers. My son actually said after the 1-hour flight, he goes, I really prefer the long flight so you can really settle in. I said, you are the only one of 8 billion people that feel that way. So. I think we don't have a lot of video games around our house at that age, so he was allowed to play video games all night long, and he loved it, is what he really meant.
Well, you got to figure out what you're going to do for 22 hours.
Yeah, that's why we said, hey, it's a free-for-all. Do what you like. Have candy all night. I don't care.
Oh, good. That's a good idea. Give them sugar. Yeah. See what happens then.
Off the walls. Crash hard into a nice sleep, so it's worth it.
Okay, we need to take our halftime break, but when we come back, I want you to tell us the story of the lost manuscript that was gone for 60 years, and now it's a book that's been published. We need to talk about that because your life is simply magical, but you know, quite frankly, you know that. So, but you're listening to Positive Talk. Go to our website, which is Pamdiana Jones, PamdianaJones.com. And that's her author's name, and she does all kinds of things. And we need to take this break, but when we come back, she's going to tell us the story of this lost manuscript and who wrote it and why and how long ago and all of that, because that's what we do here. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Brushwood Media Network, the best in syndicated talk, news, and entertainment shows.
As you go about your daily life, look closer. As you gather with family and friends who love and support you, look closer. There are youth right in your community who don't have the home, warmth, and healing you have. So look closer. Every year across America, a staggering 4.2 million youth are homeless or trafficked. And for 50 years, Covenant House has worked relentlessly to keep them safe and protected. Tonight, 2,000 young people will sleep safely in a Covenant House bed. And tomorrow, they will wake up surrounded by love. They get clean clothes, hot meals, medical care, and a safe place to sleep. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. In sites across America to help them fulfill the great promise of their lives. So look closer at Covenant House. To help or get help, go to covenanthouse.org.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We've got a great guest here today. She's an author. She's a comedian. I got to ask you, have you ever thought about doing stand-up? That would probably scare the hell out of you.
Oh, I'm too shy. Give me a microphone, I freeze up.
You're doing beautifully today, by the way.
You.
And I was just struck by the book that was written by Bertram Smith. Who is Bertram Smith to you?
This is my British grandfather. He is quite the interesting character. He's been gone since the mid-1980s, and he lived a life of adventure. Remember, I said he's British, but he had lived in Egypt and South Africa. Well, he joined the British Navy at just 14, and then this was in the 1920s, and he joined the beginning of aviation. He would fly to ports in the Middle East and map out where the airports should be. So all the airports through the Middle East are because my grandfather mapped them out and chose where they should be. But back then, he would land a flight looking for fuel, and the native tribes would have bows and arrows at him, or they'd have to take off and run somewhere else, or they would land and the king would go, "Thank you for this lovely gift. Here is a camel for this lovely airplane." And he goes, No, it's my airplane. So just a lot of interesting stories. And obviously the sandstorms and ancient, the more exoticness of Egyptian travel when there was still royalty and things. My mother is a triplet, and she had a 9-year older sister, and the 9-year older sister was born in Egypt on Princess Fariel's first birthday. So she had the middle name of Fariel. They named her name plus Fariel, and that's my daughter's middle name now too, to keep that story going. And being British people in the 1930s, they got to know the royal family, and my aunt got to play with Princess Fariel at the palace for years before they moved back to England when my mother was born. So I thought, that's a story we got to keep going. So my grandfather had toured around with the real Lawrence of Arabia. All of the workers would say, "We hear Lawrence of Arabia is in town." Realize he's sleeping in the tent right behind them. My grandfather was touring Lawrence of Arabia around the Middle East. So he had written a book. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the History Channel has a real show about a real live treasure chest that has not been found called The Curse of Oak Island. Well, my grandfather wrote a book called The Secret of Oak Island by Bertram Smith. And I didn't know this, but my mom knew he wrote a book, but she didn't know anything about it. And she handed me a box, and it sat in the attic for years. And then one day I was up there and I went, "Oh, the book. Oh yeah, well, let me see what it's about." And this was mid-pandemic. And I went, "Oh, it's starring my mother at 13 as a triplet running around trying to find this treasure, like a goon type of adventure, like a national treasure, like a Outer Banks." So this manuscript sat there for 60 years, and my mother had no idea she was the star of the show. And I laughed, I cried. This book is amazing. It shows he weaves the stories of his early teens with being part of the Navy and his sailing ship, if a ship sank or something. He writes about that in the book. I'm like, that's his real journey. And some of the aviation stories he shares, I'm all, those are real. At one point, he's flying and his friend is trapped by a lion, and they go looking for his friend, and he's trapped there and the lion's just waiting for him. So they have to wait and get rid of this lion. And it's a whole thing that really happened to him. And he was able to weave that into this fun teenage Goonies type of adventure. So I printed it up and gave it to my mom. I designed the cover. There was a few missing pieces, so I added my own. I enhanced it a little bit, and now it's published 60. Collecting dust for 60 years in the attic. Now it's in my mom's hands, and she was amazed. I gave it to her for her 75th birthday last year. So she went, "Oh, a book, thank you. Oh, wait, that's my father's name. Oh, and she just lit up. And I gave copies to the whole family that didn't even know I had it. So they were accidentally having a family reunion and I didn't know it. So I shipped a box of 10 books to my cousin and everybody opened it at once and was in tears, just hugging each other. So it's a really interesting way for my kids to know their grandmother, one of the triplets, and their great grandparents and get a vibe of all that. So brought
So
them to life.
I now understand where you get your adventuresome attitude from.
Yeah, I
Because
do.
it's hereditary. You were born into it.
I couldn't help it. It's in my blood for sure.
And by the way, his story would be a great movie.
I think so. He was as handsome as Cary Grant. He used to get stopped in the streets and say, "Are you Cary Grant?" And he would say no, and they'd go, "Okay, sir, like we won't disturb you." So he had quite the life as well, and my grandmother as well. To have the triplets in England, it was right before King Charles, and my grandmother was told, "There's just you're going to have a baby," and she'd already had the one, but it had been so many years. She goes, "I think there's more than one in here," and they go, "No, we're men, we're doctors. You don't know what you're talking about." So my grandfather dropped her off to have the babies and went off to smoke cigars with his friends. And the next morning, there's my grandmother on the front page of the London Times with three babies. And he said, "Well, who are those? That's my wife, but who are all those babies?" "Those are yours, sir. You're the father of triplets." So they got a signed letter from the King of England, the Queen's father, that said, "Welcome, triplets, and here's £1 each." So that King's letter and the front page of the London Times is actually in the back of the Secret of Oak Island by Bertram Smith. Let me see if I can find the pages here. Yeah, here's can you all see? There's my grandmother with the triplets. And that's the King's letter to say, "Welcome, triplets." And it shows Buckingham Palace at the top here. But I just thought, what a great way to bring their story to life. And he's just beaming on me that I got it out there. You could just feel it that, oh no, my story's never going to get out there. I worked so hard on it. And this was back with a regular typewriter and he was a one-finger typer. So you could just see him crossing out, like you could see the whole page perfect. And then the last word is messed up. He's, "Oh, darn it," so crossing it out. So it was much harder back then to type something up. And he's got scenes from National Treasure and The Goonies and Outer Banks in this book from 60 years ago. So it's definitely a true adventure from ahead of its time. But there's let me just say, there's some Golly Gee Willikers in there as well to bring you back to 1963 when it was written. So it's a nice balance.
So can you imagine? He wrote it in 63. He set it aside. He passed away in the 80s, knowing that it was sitting there in a box and it would never get out. And then somehow, some way, he got you to go look in that box.
Right.
And,
yes.
And then you read the book and you read the manuscript and it was exactly, that should make you really, really proud. This show that I do is my dad's legacy. And so wonderful. You've created a legacy for it's your grandpa, right?
My grandpa. So my kid's great grandpa. So what a fun way to tie it all together.
It really is. And your adventuresome lifestyles and with all the work that you've done and now you're writing about it, that is so cool. And congratulations on
you
making all of that happen, because nobody thought what was your mom's reaction when you handed her the book? And she found out that
she was just stunned. She was just stunned. And when she started to read it, I mean, we all had tears. We cried. I got a little film of it. And when she started to read it, she goes, "Oh, we talk in there. We talk." So yeah, it's a real book with real conversations. And he pins little quirks on each of the kids. So I wonder, were you guys really like this as children, or he just made that up for the story? Some of these will never be answered because in my family also we get a little bit of dementia going. So that's what's happening with my aunt and my mom now. So they can't answer some of the questions that I would love to ask now. But this brings them back to their childhood. The dog is named the same, and they're quibbling with their brother and sister, and it's kind of they pour soup over each other's heads or whatever. So it's silly as well. So I think the book is good from adventurous 8-year-olds up. There's still a little gunshots and pirate knives and things. And there's one sentence that is so cringeworthy. I didn't want to put it in, but I had to be authentic to his words. He said, And these are my daughters, the good type of girls that are heard and not the seen and not heard. And I just go, oh, we don't talk like that anymore. But I left it in there. Obviously, I left every word in there because he didn't feel that way. The rest of it, the girls are fighting the pirates. The girls are crawling in the mud in the tunnels and fighting with knives and things as well. So society just made you think that at that time. And how am I going to tie it to the era if I won't leave the era in there? So I thought, let me leave the whole thing and we'll talk about it,
Having grown up near that era, that's just how it was.
Yeah.
Good girls should be seen and not heard. Be pretty. Sit and
Yes.
sit and cross your legs and wear your dress.
Now go bring me a sandwich. Yes, exactly.
Right.
I think a lot of men miss that time.
Yes, indeed. And while you're getting that sandwich, bring me a beer too.
So it's, how else do you freeze time but leaving the era truthful and authentic? So his book was from the 60s. My book is from the 1990s. So it's, there was a few things I didn't want to put in the book, but I met an older author lady and she said, Pam, everything that you don't want to write is your book. And I love it more because before that it was kind of a woohoo, I went bungee jumping, woohoo, I went scuba diving. But now it's, oh my God, this is what they think in the apartheid and what does this culture do and how do they do this? And it's, so, and even events like O.J. Simpson was a big thing at that time in my book, and Nelson Mandela. So you learn some secret truths that not everybody knows about because I'm learning it from some locals. And again, with the O.J. Simpson case, my mom worked at the district attorney's office where the case originally landed on her desk, and then it got transferred to downtown LA. But she said some of the evidence was not admitted that she had seen. So I leave some of that into my book as well, of like, how was this not admitted? It's important. So a lot of people wouldn't know that unless you freeze that era.
That's just amazing. I got to tell you. And one of the things that struck me is your grandmother had triplets. That's right,
Yes.
right?
Yes, my mom is a triplet, yeah.
And you had twins.
Right, runs in the family. So when I heard multiples, it was not unheard of. I went, yeah, sounds about right.
Did you tell your poor husband ahead of time, by the way, multiple children run in the family?
Well, if I could be real and raw with you, we did in vitro and the doctor implanted 4 embryos. And I said, Doc, I don't want 4 kids. Are you sure? And I said, my mom is a triplet. And he said, what happened to your mom was a miracle. He goes, I haven't seen triplets in 30 years. And I actually got pregnant with triplets and I carried triplets on emergency bed rest for the entire 9 months. And the third baby didn't make it. She had heart problems and she was a stillborn. So my twins know they have a sister in heaven watching over them. And life gives you what you can handle and no more and no less. So this is our perfect family, 1 boy and 1 girl. And I was honored to carry the triplets and feel that tie with my grandmother on that side of things as well, because carrying triplets is no joke, people. It's, if you think you're hungry with 1 baby, you are starving instantly with triplets. I had to grab a nurse's arm. I go, it's different with triplets. Could you get me something to eat right this second? I'm going to faint, so it's a whole, I think that's going to be in book 3 too.
It is just, you have had an extraordinary life. Does your husband recognize the extraordinary life that you had?
I think he does now. To see it in writing, he's about to. When I start on the book with he and I.
Well,
there's always surprises. You're gonna laugh. I played a joke on him during our wedding. He and I dated a couple times in high school, and then he joined the army and he left. And we had 16 years apart. He married someone else while I was doing my traveling. And then one day when I was 32, my sister called me up. I had just signed documents for my very first condo in San Diego, and my sister called me up and said, "Guess who's single?" And I went, "No way." And he hadn't even said hello to her. We all went to high school together. He just pointed right in her face and he goes, "Is your sister single?" So he said he would come down and help me move in, and he never left. He moved in on our first date as well, which we tell our children that and say, never do that. This is what not to do. It happened to work out, but we've been together 22 years now, aside from kiss from 37 years ago. So it's fun to have that history and to have time to work out who you are without the mistakes of maybe that first relationship. That a lot of my friends got married and got divorced in that first bit, and we missed that first divorce. So it's a different level of commitment to have known someone since I was 16 and to wait to get married.
That is that's a story all in on that's got to be another book.
I gotta say, yeah, you want to talk for an hour? No problem. I got a story after story.
Well, it's you are a remarkable person, and
Thank
your
you.
story and your family story and resurrecting the book, all of this has a certain air of synchronicity to it. You know what I mean?
I wish I had done it earlier, but it's meant to be now. And I became an author at 50. So it's nice to also show my children that you can make any changes along the way that you need to make. There's no go get a job at 18 and you're stuck there till you're 80. So that's kind of a different generation now. Float around until you feel like you belong there, and it boosts who you are, and you'll find your way. Doors will open.
I love your story. I love your energy. I love your tenacity and everything that you're doing. It's just amazing. And we could probably talk for 2 or 3 hours, and we'll uncover all kinds of stuff that you've done in your life and places that you've been. You're listening to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. We are talking with Pamdiana Jones. And I love that name. I love that you're
Thank
using
you.
that. And she's got When in Rome, ROAM, that's out. And it's also updated. And The Secret of Oak Island, a book that was 60 years in the creation of it. And we need to take our quick break, and we'll be right back. It's just 40 seconds. Just relax. We'll be right back.
When the game is on the line, championship teams know the game plan. They communicate and work together to win. We all need a game plan to protect ourselves online. Talk to family and friends so they know how to stay safe too. Create strong passwords, turn on multi-factor authentication, update software, and recognize and report phishing, because online safety is not something you want to fumble. Get more game-winning tips at CISA.gov/secure our world. Then share them with family and friends.
And welcome back to Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. And Pamdiana Jones is our guest today. It is so much fun talking to you. When we had our 15-minute meeting, it was like, you are just remarkable with all the things that you've done,
Thank you.
and being so brave to be in South Africa and being all by yourself, and the story of the 8 guys that came to your door, although only 2 of them, and stuff. It's just remarkable that you're and thank goodness that you're still here and you survived all of it, because you've got so much in you, and you're such a remarkable spiritual individual, and you know much more than a lot of people who haven't been around very much, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, thank you. You never know what life holds. So it all started before my moving truck was stolen. I have an epilogue in the book where I'm waiting tables in Los Angeles. I'm 20 years old, and I'm waiting on Rod Stewart, the singer. And I don't know it's Rod Stewart. I'm dingleberry enough to go, this guy he's pretending to be Rod Stewart. He looks just like him. He's cut his hair like him. Well, he asked me, do I want to be in a music video? And I grin, and then the book starts, and I'm off in South Africa and all of this. So a natural person would think, oh, she was a video girl and earned a few $1,000s and went on this trip. I don't want to spoil the ending. So if you really want to keep everything a surprise, please tune down for a moment. But in the epilogue, I answer his question. I go, no, but if you'd like to be a busboy here, I can get you a job. Ha, 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 ha. And he doesn't laugh. And when I come back for him to pay the bill, he's already paid it at the front clerk. And I see that it says Rod Stewart. So I'm the dummy who has the biggest missed opportunity ever. And from that moment, I said, thank you, Rod Stewart. You've taught me to just say yes to everything. Say just yes to everything ever, and worry about it later. Worry about how to do it, or if it was a good idea or anything later, but just don't let an opportunity pass you by. So I definitely thank Sir Rod Stewart in my book for, I'm actually riding a bull, and I'm all, thank you, Rod Stewart. Like, maybe this wasn't a good idea. I'm in New Zealand and I'm on top of a bull, and some of the other things. I'm like, thank you, Rod Stewart, for this moment. Would not have happened had I not made my biggest embarrassing moment with you. So he'll never remember me, but my mom insists that he would, because I'm the only waitress in Los Angeles to say no to film time. So,
well, and not only that, you had no earthly idea who the man was.
Well, I grew up with that kind of music, so I should have known. He looked like Rod Stewart. How many people look like Rod Stewart? Nobody. So I'm the dum-dum who thinks I'm right, and I blow it. So in a
Well, but
comedic way.
it's one of those things where that never crosses your mind that could possibly actually be the Rob Stewart.
Yeah,
But you
I'd
don't want
never met a
to.
movie star before, so I just thought, but if you think about it, I'm working at a fancy restaurant in Los Angeles. Why wouldn't that be the guy who it looks like? So I'm not very bright sometimes.
Well, but at the same time, you wouldn't want to gush over this guy and then have it be the wrong guy, or gush over him and stuff, and then he blows you off, kind of thing. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I didn't know.
So you did the right thing. You did
Thank
the right
you.
thing.
Well, the book would
And
not have happened if not for that moment. So it's
it's
starts with a fumble.
it is amazing. And verify this for me. It is amazing that all the things that happened to you, if those things had not happened to you, there would be no book. There would be
Yeah.
none of the stuff that's gone on. And we would be lesser than because of that. And your kids
Yeah.
wouldn't get to travel all over the world and do the things that you're doing, because you has no fear at all.
I don't know if I'm bright enough to know about the fear, but that doesn't mean bad things don't happen. Like I said, you just kind of go, oh, I guess this is how today's. But back to my moving truck getting stolen. I had just bought my own house full of furniture, and then it got stolen. So I was already in that rat race. I need a better job to pay for the bigger apartment for this nice furniture. So I need a better car to get to the better job. So to have it just ripped out from under me was devastating at that moment, and within weeks it was the biggest gift that ever happened to me. So now I can restart a life. I didn't know there's other lives than these. I was about to do the LA rat race, and I thought that was important.
Well, and everybody does, because that's what we've been told.
Yeah.
When we're growing up and saying that's what you should do, and then you're supposed to go find this fella, and then you're going to go get married, and then you're going to
better have a white picket fence, or your life's not worth living. So
exactly
I was
right.
confused by that. I just thought I got things to do, so it wasn't time for me yet.
It is very instructive, because it's good for everybody to follow your passion, follow your heart, and to say yes to life.
Yes.
Because it's not going to continue to ask you, but it will ask you if to say yes to life, so that you can find out who you really are and then live that life. Because if all of these things, and by the way, you're on a continuing journey like we all are. You're not where you're going to end up. You're far from where you're going to end up. And we're all doing the same thing, but some of us shut it down and say, oh, no. It's like when your sister said, oh, you're just going to have to go buy more furniture so you can move into the apartment. And then you've got a credit card bill, and you're stuck in the apartment. And so now you're part of the rat race and all that kind of stuff.
And I'm looking at furniture I didn't really want. I was forced to buy it, or it's not quite the same as it was before, or something's wrong with it. So I thought, absolutely not. But I want to tell your listeners, nothing about my life is wealth. It's just a decision of what to buy and when. Like, I live in a townhome now, so that we could afford a trip with our children every 3 years. We can't do it every once a year now with 4 tickets is way more expensive than one. But the way Jay taught me to travel, I never want to keep traveling that way. It only cost me $900 in 3 months. You don't have rent. You don't have car insurance. You don't have tire rotations and oil changes and your dry cleaning. And a lot of bills just float away. So I find it to be much cheaper to be on the road, to be honest. You're not staying in 5-star resorts. You're now Airbnb is a thing. So you just find the cheapest way to go about it. Or sometimes I just recently found a place where you could swap homes with people and you can pet sit for each other around the world. So there's ways to do it if it's important to you.
I have a friend, her name is Rebecca. And what she does is she house sits for people in all over the world. And there's a service, I forget what it's called. You can look it up. And so she goes, and there are people in this world who have enough money, and they love their dog so much that they will fly somebody from the United States to Italy so that you can sit the dog while they go on vacation for 2 weeks or a month.
And sometimes it's not about the money. Sometimes you fly yourself there and you sign up to dog sit for them. So it's just a free vacation house and they get a free pet sitter and that kind of a thing. But sometimes you supply your own food and all that stuff. So there's different ways to do it. And there's something called woofing farms, where it's like worldwide organized work on a farm, an organic farm, where you work the farm and you get to stay there for free and eat for free because you just picked all the zucchini or something. So there's different ways. There's different lives in these. You can work on a boat, so if it's important to someone, they'll find a way.
That's exactly right. And by the way, it helps. I was in the restaurant business for 25, 30 years. So it does help that you can be a waitress or a bartender, and because you can work anywhere.
Absolutely. And you get instant friends when you have a hospitality job like that. They go, hey, you're new in town tonight. We're going to go get some tacos. You're all great. So I find when I move to other towns without the waiting tables, it takes me 3 months to find a little group of friends. But the night you start as a waitress, they embrace you.
Well, there are people in the hospitality industry are really cool people.
Yeah, they want you to have a good time too,
Yeah, so I advocate kids. You might think that being a waiter or a waitress or a bartender or something is below you, because you want to be a software guy or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great way to meet people. And by the way, guys, it's a great way to meet girls too.
And I was making $100 a day when everybody else was spending $100 a day. They're in the bar spending it, and I'm meeting everybody still, but I'm making it. So it's a different way to go about being included.
It really is. It really is. So you've got a couple of new books coming. When is your next book coming out, by the way?
I don't have an exact date, but I'm hoping to publish by midsummer. And I've actually created a small children's series. So I have 3 children's books written about my 2 twins at maybe 7, 8 years old going through a portal to meet Santa in book 1. And then they meet Pocahontas in book 2 and fly on a eagle's feathers. And in book 3, they shrink down and meet the Tooth Fairy. So I'm getting those illustrated right now. So I think I found my new calling. So by the end of summer, hopefully I have the next travel book done and 3 children's books done. So then I would be 6 books in.
Will you come back before you release your next book?
Oh, absolutely. Kevin for president. Thank you. Yeah.
No, I don't want to be president. It's too hard of a job, and everybody hates them. But I would love for you to come back and meet Rochelle, and we would have a great time talking with you. You are phenomenal. By the way, Pamdiana Jones has been our guest. Go to her website, which is pamdianajones.com. Go to her shopping page, and you can buy the books. And I recommend.
I just want to say they're both also available anywhere in the world on Amazon. So even though my grandfather wrote the other book, you can find it under Pamdiana Jones' name as well. So both books are available on Amazon. Pamdiana Jones, When in Rome, or The Secret of Oak Island. The Secret of Oak Island is good for young teens all the way up to elderly. I do some book signings in senior citizen homes, and they love it. It brings them right back to their childhood. So thank you.
And it's in the language that they grew up with.
Yeah, it's a simpler time for sure.
And 1963 was a simpler time in some parts. Of course, that was anyway. But
don't get me started.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're just a young thing still, and you've got lots to do. And I'll bet your children are very proud of you.
They are. They just told me that, and that's so rare to have teenagers tell the parents that. So
you have no earthly idea. Yeah, and they're both 14, and their brain hasn't fallen out of their head yet.
Right? They like me. It's weird. I go, when are you going to be mean and throw something and go start smoking or something? And they laugh and they laugh.
Oh, good. And I assume since they're twins that they are inseparable.
Oh yeah, best buds. That's the arguments around our house. I go, stop laughing and finish your dinner. Stop laughing and get in the car. So I'll take it. I'll take it all day long.
Again, we've been talking with Pamdiana Jones. Go to her website, pamdianajones.com. You are delightful. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on, Kevin.
Stay right where you are. I'll be right back. Thanks for listening to this episode of Positive Talk with Kevin McDonald. Our purpose is to provide everyone with a positive, entertaining, and educational experience. I would love your feedback and comments about the show, including possible topics and great guest suggestions. Please email me at kevin@kmmedia.pro. And remember, be kind to one another because each other's all